Madam Web. This movie was intended to make something like a girl squad in Sony's Spider-Man superhero universe. It's not for nothing that the elderly secondary heroine from the original comic book was now made the key figure of the whole movie, and also gathered around herself something like a squad of henchmen. And it turns out that Sony tried to make a kind of their own girly answer to Spider-Man. What did it turn out to be? Whether it's worth going to the premiere or not, and what reviews are already known. Everything is already here. Hey everybody, we're here with More with Stars, and here we go. Now let's have a little brief background. Madam Web is a new superhero movie based on the Marvel comic books of the same name. It is the fourth film in the Spider-Man Universe media franchise from Sony. It was directed by S.J. Clarkson. She also wrote the script, and the main roles in it played by Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney. In this case, we must immediately say that Sony is not that directly sprinkled Madame Web gold, but in general it received quite a solid production budget of $80 million, plus at least another $20 million for advertising. The total cost of the novel was at least $100 million. For comparison, the movie Godzilla -1, which became an undisputed hit last year, was filmed for $12 million. As for Madame Web, to fight back it now needs to collect in theaters at least $200 million, or even a little more. And only after that Columbia Pictures together with Sony something there will begin to earn in theory. But that's where the problems begin. But before I tell you everything, I remind you to subscribe to our channel. Here you can always discuss new movies and screen adaptations. So here's the thing. Madam Web seems to be disliked by almost no one at all. This movie, based on Marvel Comics, tells about a paramedic who has psychic abilities inherent in spiderwebs, and what's interesting, the trailer novelty went viral, but rather in a bad way, when people just stupidly ridiculed it, and also gloated with the basic idea to show a rather ridiculous team of girls superheroines or something like that, who are fighting the main villain. And ridiculous. It was not in meaning, but even more in form, as this idea was realized in life. So now after that, he was immediately hit from all sides. After all, the critics just smashed the novelty in the dust. For example, on Rotten Tomatoes, their assessment at this time, it is 14% of 100. That is, no Sony superhero movie has not received such defeated scores. But that's not all, because viewers on IMDb were extremely dissatisfied with the movie, rating the movie at 3.8 on a 10-point scale. That is even less than 4 points, which is clearly below average. And of course, the press was the most divided this time, simply trashing Sony's new all-female team. Benjamin Lee's Guardian called the movie as dumb and chaotic as the worst representatives of the genre, with lousy network TV effects, boring action, and unfunny and not elegant dialogues. Peter de Bruegge also gave his assessment of the movie, saying that it seems superfluous. The world is already overcrowded with spider-related superheroes. He added that the main character has undefined powers and has no business being here at all. Rolling Stone magazine called the novelty the cats of superhero movies, in such a reference to the mockumentary adaptation of the 2019 Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. And The Hollywood Reporter said Madame Web is another movie that falls into the category where every year studio executives dig up minor characters, put fog and hype on them, and leave audiences to debate, defend, or dismiss this kind of product. According to the results, Sony still very much wanted a superhero bachelorette party. As for the collections of the novelty, of course, so far too little time has passed. But according to initial data, this movie lost in its premiere on Valentine's Day, for example. The same movie about Bob Marley, and in general, showed at least so far the collections worse than the failed Morbius, which in the end did not even reach to go to zero. Hopefully Sony will draw some conclusions from this. What do you think? Write your thoughts on this project in the comments. Thanks everyone, see you all soon.